Well, it's that time of year again. As always, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a recap on last year's Weight of War, and I'm also going to be going through what to expect this year. So, pretty excited. A lot's been going on, and I really can't wait to sort of get into it. Now, for those of you that are new and that haven't, this may be, your first Weight of War event that you're taking part in. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that have been here before, welcome back, or listening as well if you are doing this online. So as always, guys, firstly starting off, thank you for being here. Thank you for getting involved in any way. And if you're not currently involved, there are plenty of avenues that you can get involved with, be it being involved in the actual run itself, if it is donating or simply just sharing, volunteering some of your time, or just helping to spread the message. All of it does help. So firstly, what is the Weight of War? How did it all start? So back in 2021, I had a little bit of a brainstorming session with myself. What I wanted to do was really create conversation around the veteran suicide and mental health epidemic here in Australia that we have been facing. As all of you know, there is currently a Royal Commission going on as well into veteran suicide. So with that in mind, I wanted to create an event which ticked a few boxes. A little at the time did I know this is exactly what I want, but this is what it is morphing into. So I wanted to tick some boxes. The first box that I wanted ticked was what's going to turn heads. And that is something that's not just your standard run. Now, I'm not knocking any other runs, and in fact, the reason we do this on the 1st of December is because there is already a big movement. If we refer back to Movember. Now, these guys have been doing it for ages. They've got a lot of backing behind them, and they do it really well. They get everyone involved. There's no barrier to entry. You can walk, run, scoot, ride. They've got varying distances so they can challenge all types of people. So the run they just did on the weekend at time of recording, the biggest was 60k and the shortest was really just do whatever, kind of a 15 out, 15 back, I think it was, 30 minutes, and everything in between. So Movember doing some great stuff for men's mental health, and of course its original being men's prostate cancer, getting checked up, and really that's what it is all about, Movember. But that was something what I wanted to do. I wanted to incorporate and get as many people behind this as possible and really open it to anyone. Because on the flip side, we do see, and again, I'm not knocking anyone here, but we see some amazing people. Let's think of Ned Brockman, ran across Australia. Absolute weapon. Phenomenal achievement. I sure as shit wouldn't come close to being able to do what that man has done. However, the barrier to entry is not everyone can run across Australia and not everyone could participate. Again, not to knock what he's done some amazing thing. He raises money for the homeless in Australia, so kudos to that man, great work. But the big thing for me was getting people involved. Now, in the first year, this wasn't the be-all and end-all. This wasn't the forethought in terms of, because it was just me and a couple of mates and ended up doing it. However, that's what I wanted it to evolve into. I wanted it to look forward, and it's what I wanted to create. There was always the long-term goal here at play. This was never a short-term or a single-term event. There is a bigger picture at play, and it is, again, to help veterans, to make everyone aware, to also encourage veterans to speak about their mental health. And of course, for those that have lost their lives to suicide, it's completely unacceptable. We shouldn't be having this in our veteran space. We should be looking after them. And so this leads me back to creating an event where everyone could get involved. Now, let's step away from that for a second and go back to 2021. So I've just had this thought, this idea, okay, I want to do a run, I want to do something that's challenging, I want to create conversation, and I want to make eventually everyone get involved. So the first thing is how did I perceive that we could create conversation? Well, for me, that's turning heads. Now, you may see people running in your neck of the woods all the time. They might just be out doing a jog, doing it for their own fitness, whatever it might be. For me, the only way I was going to turn heads was if I looked different. to how the normal runner is. And the first thing that popped in my mind, why don't I do it in a pair of budgies? Now, I could not think of probably anything worse. I certainly do not have the rig for budgies. Never have, probably never will. I mean, it's not the worst, but it certainly isn't going to be slapped on a men's health cover magazine anytime soon as well. So I wanted to turn heads and I wanted to get budgies involved, or DTs, whatever brand or it was at the time. So the next thing was, okay, we're making it a challenge. So we just come out of lockdown. We've been in lockdown in 2020. This event was pegged now for 2021. And at the time, again, I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but at the time, everyone was out running. Everyone was having a go because it was really the only thing you could do during lockdown. You could go out, you could have a run, whatever your time frame was, where you lived, and that was about it. You know, didn't really have access, or if you were the very, very few that did have access to a gym, present company included, that was a little bit different story. But for the major populace, it was running for everyone. So everyone was out running, everyone was out doing marathons. Once everything opened back up in 2021, there were marathons, half marathons, all of that. And again, I'm not a runner, but I look at these marathons and I see the time that they step off and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a huge achievement, but it's also sort of geared towards success. We'll do it in the coolest part of the day to make sure we're not running when it's too hot. So, and this will play into the whole point of the Way to War as well quite soon. But so I wanted to turn heads, and the next thing was, okay, well, let's do it with a weight vest. It's stupid, but... well, stupid to some, but it was also a challenge. I'm like, okay, I don't like running. I don't think at that time, I don't think I'd ever run outside of a game of footy, probably further than 5Ks on the trot continuously. So I just set myself the goal of running 21Ks in budgies in a weight vest. Now, the next thing was the time of day. So for me, again, to add on that little bit of extra spice, to add on that little bit of extra challenge, because I wanted to think as well, all right, how am I going to get, maybe some seasoned runners involved? How am I going to make that a challenge for them? Well, step in 11 o'clock in the morning when we step off. So, budgies, weight vests, 21K, 11 a.m. in the morning. Now, again, I'm not a fast runner. I don't know how many fast runners there are out there that might be listening, but for me, 21Ks is going to take about, generally on a good day without a vest, 2 hours if I'm, humming, which generally I'm not. So around that 2 hours 10, 2 hours 20. So that kind of takes you into about 1:30 in the afternoon. Now, for those of you that live in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, or anywhere really along the east coast of Australia in summer, you're going to know that it starts to get pretty steamy around 11 o'clock and especially through to 1:30 before you start to get a little bit of relief. So it's the hottest part of the day. It adds in that next element, that next challenge. Now, some of you might be sitting at home going, I can't do that. Why would anyone do that? Good question. Why would anyone do that? It does probably take a certain individual that may get enjoyment out of scenarios, situations like this, where putting themselves through the hurt locker willingly and coming out the other end feeling good about themselves. Now, I would like to add a caveat to that. I have never done a run where I've felt good at the end. This run is high. I think that is a conspiracy theory set up by a big Mara, and I think they're trying to peddle some agendas there. I've never experienced a run as high. However, the feeling of accomplishment and being able to look back after a run, not in the moment, maybe not even half an hour after an hour, but a couple days later, being able to look back and go, okay, yeah, cool, that was a pretty big achievement. That feels good. But I do not know what this marathon runners or runners high is. I think it's a load of stitch up. I won't swear too much. I'll try not to. Anyway, so there's that element of being in the absolute hurt lock in the middle of the day. Now, fortunately, the track that we run here in Brisbane is peppered with water points every kind of 200 to 500 metres. So we are very fortunate. And I will get into what some of the guys over in WA are doing and what they have to go through. But anyway, so this is what we've come to now. We're in budgies. We're wearing a weight vest up to 10 kilos. We're running at 11 a.m. and we're doing 21Ks. Now, let's have a look at what the first year involved. I did a little bit of fundraising, was managed to scrape through a bit of money, and I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly how much. Probably should have done my research before I started this. Can't remember exactly how much we did, but it was a couple of grand. We did well. There was a few of us, and for everyone that got involved in terms of donating, I couldn't thank you enough. You really helped start something, because if everyone kind of just said, yeah, righto, mate, and didn't pay much attention, I don't know if I'd be here, but people got behind it. They got behind it. They thought it was great. And so it definitely spurred me on to keep going and to keep going bigger each year. Now, the first year, let's do the recap on the first year. We got down there. It was me. Now, in total, there was about 6 runners. I had a couple mates run a little bit of it with me. So there was Weeksy. He ran the first couple of Ks with me, had to shoot off for an event. I had Matt McGreedy run a good chunk of it with me. Again, he had to shoot off for another event. I had Ali Dodds from Studio Dodge. She's going to be down there again this year. She took a couple of happy snaps for us at the end. We had Scott Kelly ran the whole thing with me. A good mate, was a client at the time. He's now moved down south. Good on him for picking up a great gig down there. Scott Kelly ran the whole thing with me, and the big Cam Flavel, the Fridge himself. A lot of long-time listeners will know all about Fridge, but Cam bloody ran the whole thing with me, and mind you, the week before, 7 days prior, the Saturday prior, that man ran, don't quote me, but it was, I believe it was 60K in gumboots. I finished off the last couple of K with him. That man was in the absolute hurt locker, turned around 1 week later and ran another 21K. Not in gumboots that time, but he backed up. So huge credit to the Fridge. He's been involved every year as well. He came out on the bike last year because he did the mowathon. He did something ridiculous last year. It was ski ergs, it was rows, it was runs. He's an absolute engine on the man, built like a Fridge. So big Cam. So those boys were running with me the whole time. Huge credit to them. They got me through. At the time, Cam and I were living together as well, and he was in my ear the whole morning. He was just peppering me, trying to psych me out. And I tell you what, he got bloody close. I went all quiet, shut down. There was kind of nothing really in the head other than just like, fuck, what am I doing? And he was there peppering, trying to stir me up, and he did a good job of it. But they got me through. So for those 6 or so people that were involved, they were the original OGs, the original gangsters of the Way to War run, and again, credit to them. Now, so I think when we started off, I can't remember the exact temperature when we started. However, it maxed out that day at 36. So I popped the vest on. We're in the budgies. Said a few words to the people that were there, a few supporters as well. Said a few words, and then off we went. I think within maybe the 3rd or 4th step, I realised that on the plate carrier, the vest, I'd not done the Velcro up properly. So on the back, sort of right where the love handles are, but a little bit more towards the spine, the spiky part of the Velcro started rubbing. And that rubbed the whole 21 Ks right down. I mean, you can say the bone, but it certainly wasn't the bone. But there was a lot of blood for a little bit of back rubbing towards the end. So every single step I could feel that, and oh boy, was it just on your mind constantly, because you're bouncing around and that Velcro is just scratch. It really had me thinking. Now, I could have stopped and I could have fixed it up, but I'm also one of those donkeys that once you start, you just keep going. And if you do stop, there's a pretty good chance that you won't get going again. So that was in my mind, but I wasn't going to stop. I just have to deal with it. Now, as we're going along, we've gotten to a point where it really started to kick in. And look, I'll tell you what, I probably had maybe 4 or 5 months of lead-in training, winging it. And, it got me to a point. But again, right before that run, I told you when I came up with this idea that I'd probably never run longer than 5K on the fly in one go outside of footy. However, leading up into the event, I think the longest distance that I did was about 16K. So I'm still technically breaking personal bests along this run. And we got to a point where we set off from Felons. We're head along the river all the way out to Eat Street for those that know the local area. And on the way back, I just started to hit. It was hot. All I had on me was a pair of sunnies. There's no sunscreen, no water other than the water points. They're baking in the sun. So, your water's coming out at about 42 degrees out of the bubbler. So it's, you're having some bath water to try and cool you down. But anyway, we tracked on, and I tell you what, there was a bit of walking. There was a bit of walking towards the end. And I remember at one point, there were a couple of mates that were out on the yacht club going through Brisbane. And that was probably, in the last stretch, it would have been the last 3K. I've seen them, and they started cheering from the middle of the river because they could see me. And I tell you what, I have never felt my morale go through the roof for a whole of 10 seconds until they stopped, and then boom, straight back in the hurt locker. So it was great seeing them. But anyway, we finally finish. It's around that 1:30 mark. We've been out there for 2 hours, and the vest, it was sitting quite tight when we stepped off, and I kid you not, there was probably about that much of a gap, if that's any reference at all for you, for those that can see it. So what's that, maybe about a 30-40 mil gap, both front and back, once I got back. So I had completely dehydrated. There was almost no sweat. Now, for anyone that does know me, I'm a sympathy sweater. I will sweat at any chance I can get. And as soon as I got, for the last couple of K, there was no sweat coming out. I remember seeing that finish line. Somehow there were more people down there than when I started, and they were cheering and stuff. It was amazing. I had Caddy hand me a pint. Oh, was it a pint? Yep, I think it was either a pint or a stein. It must have been a pint of beer, felons. As soon as I crossed that line, all I wanted was water, but I got handed a beer, so I just threw that straight down the hatch. I tell you what, that was a bloody good tasting beer. Anyway, so we finished up there. I think we ended up having about 20 supporters down there at the end. So some mates that had come along just to round out the day. And it was a great time. And it was at that time when I was struggling to put some sentences together at all. We had one of the next big players of the Weight of War now come through, Heath. So Heath is he is in the management staff down at Felons, and he rocked up, and he was a big boy at the time, full of tattoos. He's ex-Navy. He walked up and he's like, "What's going on here?" And we tell him, we're like, "Oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing it for. We're trying to raise money for veterans to help them get onto the Survive to Thrive Nation program." He's like, "Oh, that sounds good. I used to be in the services. I was Navy." And you're like, "Oh, no way. Small world." He goes, "Oh, I'll get everyone a beer." So he's already, public friend number one, old Heath, for getting us a beer. But yeah, he's come around, and this will play into last year as well. So we've seen Heath. Anyway, wrapped up. It was a great night. I couldn't walk properly for about a month after. The scars were there for about 18 months on the back from the vest. But all in all, it was a great turnout. So it was the first year. Now, second year rolls around. All right, well, we know what we're doing now. We know that there's going to be 21K. We know that, some people have been keen because we're sitting out and pushing all this stuff out on socials after. Everyone was having fun. People started asking, "Hey, we want to get involved. We want to do, can we come down? Can we do this?" Absolutely. And so enter 2022. We now go down to Felons, and we couldn't remember Heath's name. All we had was a photo, because we ended up getting a photo with him. We went up to the bar staff and we're like, here's a photo. "Hey, does this bloke still work here?" And they're like, "Oh, that's Heath. Yeah, we'll get him over the radio." He just happened to be there on the day. I think it was a Thursday that we went down about lunchtime. Anyway, he comes over, we start having a chat, and Heath, the absolute legend that he is, we gave him an inch saying "Hey, is it cool if we actually do this down here again?" We didn't ask last time, but we're expecting a few more people. So is it cool if we just do it? So we gave him an inch, and boy, did he run for an absolute mile. That man he put every resource that he had there at Felons up for grabs for us. He got 100% behind it. He 100% bought into why we're doing it, the reason behind it. He's had mates that have been in the same situation, and he just wanted to do anything he could to help and make this bigger. So second year, we ended up getting, I think it was 5 or 6 Karma kegs from Felons. 100% of the proceeds went to the fundraising event. We also got staff down there. We had barbecues, got to meet the head brewers for Felons. It was awesome. So we had all of this going for us. They said, yep, we're going to designate this whole section here for you. You are good to go. And for those of you that know Felons, we're between the main beer hall and the main bar. So the beer hall and the bar, we had that whole grass area. And we had a truck set up and everything. It was great. So we were also fortunate enough to get in contact with Run Army. I believe they reached out potentially, or because there's all different levels of people talking, but somehow either I reached out or they reached out. I went down, had a little chat with them at Brecky Creek. We went for a run, and lo and behold, we had, I couldn't tell you, maybe about 20 or 30 Run Army guys come down on the Saturday last year, 22. So Run Army got right behind it. And then this is going to come into play for this year. So I had a bloke from WA reach out, old Cell. And he's like, hey, mate, we've just seen what you're doing. Can we do this over here in WA? And I'm like, holy shit, mate. Yeah, thinking, cool, he's in Perth, because what part of Western Australia is inhabited other than Perth? I don't know. I'm like, oh, whereabouts are you guys? Down in Perth? He's like, no, we're at Karratha. And I'm like, oh, cool. What's that? And so it's up north a little bit more. It's over in WA. I'm not 100% on the geography, but anyway, sure enough, I believe there was 6 of those guys off the top of my head, all went out, did the 21. They all vested up in the budgies. And for those of you, you've probably seen the photos. Those guys were epic. Now, they work in emergency services. I'm not going to say fire and rescue. They work in emergency services. And they were out there doing the run out on basically sand, I think it was, from what it looked like. Now, these guys also, as they're out there running, they have to take snake bite kits as well. I just found out yesterday at time of recording. So it's pretty hectic what they do over in WA. But yeah, old Cyril reached out. We had a chat, and yeah, he's got on board. So here we go. Roll around to December 3rd, 2022. And it is blown away. We started off with 6 runners in total, different distances. 2022, we ended up having 60. So we 10x'd everything. We also put the feelers out for people far and wide from Brizzy to come. We had a couple of blokes, so big shout out to Sam, who came up from New South Wales, came up for the day. Actually came up for a couple of days, but he came up, participated. We had guys out from Ipswich way, so those that know RAF Base Amberley, we had a bunch of guys come from all the way out there. We had guys north and south come down. We ended up having over 200 supporters there as well on the day, so it was absolutely hectic. Couldn't thank anyone and everyone enough. We also had a couple of boys from 6RAR come out. We had a couple of engineers. I don't believe it was 2CR, but it was a couple of the engineers, whether it was 2CR or some of the support regiments that they have out there for construction guys and whatever they are now. So yeah, we had a good mix. It was great. Again, it really spurred us on to try and go bigger and better again. So let's talk about the run. How did it go? Well, the first year we topped out at 36 degrees. Last year, 2022, it was a top of 25 that day. It was cold and windy. Now, the first year, everyone's asking, what about chafe? What about chafe? I was sweating that much. It just acted as lube as it was. I didn't need to rub anything like it. Yeah, the legs copped a little bit, but I'd say it was like a 0.5 out of 10 in terms of pain. Fast forward, 2022, holy dooly. Step off on that first step. There's no sweat. It's just skin on skin, a little bit moist, so it's kind of grippy. And boy, I was like, wow, here we go. We are in for the long haul. Don't worry about heat this time round. It is about chafe. And I kid you not, every water point, you remember I said they would have been about every 200 or 500 meters. I was splashing water up into the gooch, trying to get as much lubricant as I could there. And it was just struggle street the whole way. The whole time I was doing it, I ended up running with the leg kicking out a little bit. So the ITB has just seized right up. And I tell you what, that last 4 or 5K, Oh, wow. That was something else. Give me 36 plus degrees in the sun any day of the week. I tell you what, I will take that over cold and windy any day. Any day. So finished off that run. We had all the supporters there. In total, I probably should have checked all my stats. In total, from the last 2 years, so from 21 and 22, we had raised around about 18 grand accumulatively. So we've been able to get over 18 veterans onto the course so far, which has been phenomenal, onto the program, the Survive to Thrive Nation program. So it's been absolutely phenomenal. We could not ask for anything else. Everyone really stepped out and stepped up on the day. It was phenomenal. Now, we were really inspired from the guys over in WA, and that was a big part. We didn't think we'd be going into state as soon as we did, especially coming around for the third year. We were still trying to build up Brisbane to get to a point where we felt it was kind of comfortable to then progress. But as the old saying goes, there's no point in waiting until you're ready, because you never will be. You just got to do it. And so we did. And so the guys from WA, they gave us a lot of confidence that people wanted to be involved with this, and that there are people out there that, just want to get keen, that either want to be involved with the running or want to support somehow. So that absolutely led us into where we are now for 2023. So again, last year as well, we stepped off at 11 o'clock, but like I said, it was 25 degrees, so 11 degrees cooler than the first year. I was not a fan, I'll tell you that much. So here we are, 2023 now. Again, we put the call out midway through the year. The boys from WA, they were keen again. Credit to them, last I looked, they are at... Actually, no. So we've got a virtual run, so anyone can get involved. Virtually, last I looked, we're at about 51 people. Now, this is predominantly WA, but we've then also had a small contingency come on from Canberra, and that's being headed up by Ant. So we're really excited there. We're on the precipice of really getting Townsville going as well. And then we've also got a few other locations peppered around where people are just running. They haven't really got many people coming down to the event. They're just out there running. But currently our satellite locations are Karratha, WA, Canberra, ACT, and Townsville, Queensland. So we're very, very excited there. This year we've also trying to be cool and get some merch. So as you can probably see the shirt here, I'll step back, but do a little fashion show. Perfect. So you can see there that we've got our Weight of War run merch. And of course, we've got our sponsors to thank there as well who've come on. Now, Felons, again, Heath stepping up, really getting involved and doing their absolute all. It is huge. We've got raffles. We did have raffles last year. We've got raffles again this year. Anyone can buy those tickets. We've also, who else? So that's Felons, yeah, that's our major sponsor. So big shout out to Felons. We've then also got, again, Pain to Performance and Matter Athletica. So two real good mates of mine, Troy from Pain to Performance and Ben from Matter. Those guys are back on as sponsors again. As always, Troy from Pain to Performance, P2P, he keeps the body in working order. I do my best to break it as often as possible. And without that man, I would certainly succeed. So big shout out there. We've also had Brothers and Books come on. We've had Intraface come on. And is there anyone else? Yep, and that's everyone. Perfect. Just making sure. And then, of course, it'd be ridiculous not to, but we then also got some budgies knocked up. So these are the budgies for this year. So we've got Budgie Smuggler there. We're doing our third run. And look at that. Weight of War. Got the Aussie flag. So they're the budgies there. You're going to be seeing a few of us in those. Now, some of you might be seeing, if you are watching this on YouTube, you're probably going, geez, that looks pretty plain, like a child could do it. I have about the design skills of a 2-year-old. In fact, I think a 2-year-old with crayons would probably do a better job than me. So I would like to put it out there. If anyone would like to have a crack at designing budgies, have a go. If you go onto the Budgie website, you can actually design them there. If you're happy with it, doesn't matter. Send it over to me. Of course, I think most of you know my socials, but if you don't, at Josh J Atkins or at our Weight of War Instagram. So at Weight of War, send it over to there, and we're going to have a competition. Whoever gets the winning pair, as voted by the people, that's what we'll be wearing next year. And I'm sure there'll be a prize available as well. It'd be silly not to. Unless you just want to put your name on there, I can wear your name on any part of those budgies. How dirty or clean you'd like to have it. I am an absolute prostitute for marketing and for help. So if anyone'd like to help, I will take it. So they're the big ones there. We've got merch now. Super happy about that. We've made a few sales. It was good. I'm not too deep in the hole. We're going to be bringing out patches. So we'll have morale patches next year. I'm going to have a baseline, so a Weight of War one, and we're going to have a custom one every event, just like the budgies. They won't be the same, so the budgies will have its own design. The morale patch each year will have its own design, but each year one, that'll always be a limited order, but that'll be coming out, so keep your eyes peeled for those in the future, early in the new year. Otherwise, this year, it has been absolutely huge. As I said, guys, WA really stepped up. They gave us the courage. They gave us the want to try and really make this be bigger. And so far it's worked. As I said, those satellite runs, we've got Karratha, WA, we've got Canberra, ACT, Townsville in Queensland, and then of course Brizzy. So we're very, very excited. Now, that's a bit of a recap, I guess, on the last couple of years. So the next big thing, I guess, what I want to talk about, and this is something for now all the runners. Now, of course, we have opened up varying distances. We've never said that you have to do it in budgies and a weight vest. Of course, we'd love to see you in it, but you run at whatever capacity you can because not everyone's the same. So we've got the 21K, we've got a 10, a 5, and a 1K. You can run, walk, scoot, ride, whatever it is. Whatever your poison, go for it. We're not here to judge. We just want people to be involved. The big thing really is we're trying to bring both communities together as well. It's an opportunity for both veterans, current serving, to be able to intermingle and cross-pollinate with the civilian populace. Now, there's at times a little bit of kind of disconnect and continuity between the two groups. But at the end of the day, we're all one team. It's about trying to get those two communities together so we can really thrive. The more veterans can assimilate with the civilian community, the better everyone is. It's not an us and them mentality. It's an experience difference. So, and as we all know in defense, especially Army, experiences may vary, but it's just an experience thing, guys. So at the end of the day, we want those communities to come together because when they do come together and they work well together, great things happen. We can push for better outcomes for our current serving members. We can push for better outcomes for our veterans, especially with the whole DVA crisis and Royal Commission at the moment. So bringing those two communities together is absolutely huge. One thing that every single person can really have time to do during the run is think about everything that's going through their mind and really take stock on what they're feeling and then contrast that against veterans and others that suffer from mental health. And that is a big reason, again, why a lot of this comes into play, especially around the budgies, around the vest, and around the time of day. So as some of you may know, you may not, the budgies represent vulnerability, being able to make yourself vulnerable, strip everything back and show that, you know, you are a human. Doesn't matter how many walls you put up, there is that human side. And then the vest represents all the struggles, the weight of war, everything that our veterans have gone through during their service, the baggage that they carry, whether deployed or not. Everyone carries that little bit of baggage. You've always been heightened, ready to go, always on alert. It's there to symbolize that. Now, those two things combined, and with the heat, sure enough, most people are then going to be facing a little bit of head noise. And that is the perfect time. And I like to give this analogy where At the end of the run, if you've done 21Ks or whatever distance, but at the end of the run, you're able to get back and you're able to lift that vest off your shoulders. And I tell you what, after you've been pounding the pavement for potentially up to 2.5 hours, maybe even longer if you're slow like me, but after you've been pounding the pavement for that long, when you lift that vest off your shoulders, you feel an instant relief. You feel, obviously, a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. It feels good. You get to sit down, you get to have a beer, you get to backslap, you get to talk to your mates, and you've all worked towards a common goal where now suddenly you're a little bit stronger and you've built a bit of a camaraderie, a bit of friendship around this event. Now we contrast that to someone that is suffering from PTSD, from mental health. They can't, at the end of the day, go and take off a vest. They can't just go, oh, I feel better now. They have to live with it. They have to constantly live with this weighted feeling, sometimes crushing feeling, and they're not able to just simply let it go or simply just feel good. It doesn't work like that for them. So it's a big thing when running, when out there and you're going through the Hurt Locker. You've got those little voices peppering in your ear saying, pull up here, you've done well, that's enough, don't go too much harder. Being able to think that at the end, and there's a finish line, you know exactly where that finish line is. And at that finish line, you're then able to relinquish that weight, whereas there's others that can't. Now, they might eventually one day be able to work through it, but at present time, there's a pretty good chance that when people that are suffering from mental health, when they go home, they're not going to be able to lift that weight off. And so that's a big part of the run. And that's why I chose to have the budgies, to show that vulnerability, to also turn heads, to have the weight vest on there to make a challenge, to make sure that almost you're able to understand, if it is only ever so briefly, but just again, bring that community. I'm quite lucky. I didn't suffer. I definitely had an identity crisis when I left defense, but I didn't suffer too bad, I believe. So this allows me to walk a mile in someone's shoes, a little bit less than, figuratively. So I'm able to pay homage to those that are battling with this day in, day out, take stock, remind myself once a year that I'm fortunate, and because I am fortunate, I'm going to try and do something in order to help them. I am able, so I want to be willing to help. So that's a big part of the time of day as well. Being able to battle through the hottest part of the day. There's nowhere to hide, especially out on the Brisbane run. There's next to no shade. So you are in that unrelenting sun for a good couple of hours if you're doing the 21K. So a little bit to unpack there as well, of course, if you are listening. But all in all, I want to finish on a positive. The lead up to this third Weight of War run, I have to say this is probably my new Christmas. I get to see people that I only see down at the run once a year, so I'm excited for that. It has been a big lead up, but I'm bloody keen. We've got over from when I last looked, we've got over 71 people running down in Brisbane. So we've already beaten last year's. Currently we're at, I think it's 126 again from time of recording. I can see my phone is going off with new signups. I'm getting notifications for that, which is fantastic. So very, very excited. As I said, the lead up, it's like Christmas. When I go around to my family's for Christmas, I'm excited to have a couple of beers. I think I'm more excited to have a couple of beers with everyone after this. Every year, especially last year, I made sure I got around to thank everyone. So for those that are listening and coming down to Brisbane, I will be coming around after I finish saying thanks to everyone, because without the supporters as well, we're not able to do this. So for those that don't know as well, for those that are in Brisbane that might be listening to this, we have got 7 Karma kegs up available from Felons. So every single cent from that beer that you drink goes directly towards sponsoring veterans onto the Survive to Thrive Nation program. So if you have ever wanted to donate money, but you're kind of like, oh, where does my money go? Not only do you know 100% goes towards veterans, but you get beer. You get beer as well. I don't know how many places you go and donate money and they give you beer in return. So that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. And if you're not of the drinking kind, that is completely okay. I will absolutely accept beers on your behalf, and I will swap you for a nice cool water if you are so inclined. But I will absolutely take any beers off your hands for those that are not on the drink. And we don't hold any prejudice. Of course, you don't need to drink to come down and support. But yes, I will happily take any of those beers off anyone's hands. Not only that, we've also got a international embargo lifted. So for anyone that saw the latest post, there will be no double parking tickets being handed out at this event. You can double park with a bottle of water or a glass of water and a beer. That is completely okay. We actually highly recommend it to celebrate and hydrate at the same time. Very important, but that's probably some side notes more for the foreign correspondent to report on than anyone else. So guys, we're very excited. Felons is going to be going off for everyone that wants to get involved virtually. So if you're not here, and again, you don't need to live in Australia to get involved with this. If you are any of our Canadians, Americans, POMs, any of you guys, we've even got a couple of Indians or people that are in India listening. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you can get involved. It's December 2nd. I can't believe I've just thought. It's December 2nd. It's December 3rd last year. It's December 2nd this year. December 2nd, your local time. Of course, we know some people, like the guys over in Karratha, it's going to be a top of, I think, 42 on Saturday. So for that reason, they are running at 5 a.m., which is completely okay. I do not want anyone going down with heat, especially out in the bloody desert. So, and everyone gets issued snake bite. Everyone gets issued snake bite kits. So that's insane. But geez, hard as nails over in WA. Guys, if you want to get involved virtually, you can sign up. Everything is on the link. I'll have it linked wherever you're listening to this. It'll be linked in there. The first bit is obviously my company and named after the podcast, ATP Fitness. And then, so if you are listening and you just want to type this in, atpfitness.com.au/weight of war. And maybe run. I don't know. Just try Weight of War. You'll probably find it. Otherwise, I'm going to have it linked everywhere. I'm not good with websites. And you'll see by the terrible design layout that I've done. But anyway, guys, if you want to get involved running virtually any distance, it can be 21, 10, 5, 1K. You can, if you want to do 30K, you can do that. If you want to do a marathon, you can do that. If you want to get involved, you can sign up virtually. It's 100% free. We're not charging anyone to get involved. We just want bums on seats, or in this case, bums in DTs or budgies. And again, guys, you don't need to run in budgies or a weight vest. We just want you to get involved. Tag us, either myself at Josh J. Atkins or Weight of War, so at Weight of War. Let us know. I'll, of course, be sending a blast email out to everyone just with a few bits and pieces a little bit closer to the event. But so if you want to get involved with the run, you absolutely can. If you want to get down and spectate at any one of those locations, if you go on Instagram, we're going to have the run sheets there, which will also have the location so you can support. And of course, if you want to come down to Felons in Brisbane, beer truck this year will be open from 10 a.m. So if any of the runners want to have a beer before they go out, they absolutely can. But we will be serving beer either from 10 a.m. until it runs out, or 6 p.m. at night. So we've got a big stint there where we can make some money and really make a difference for veterans. That'll be absolutely huge. So guys, if you want to get involved, even if you want to donate team, of course, we've got that there as well. That's on the website also. And finally, is there anything finally? No, that's pretty much it. So guys, this is all off the cuff. Nothing's pre-scripted or anything. I'm just trying to think of everything as I go. hopefully make this a little more genuine as well. So if you are listening, but guys, it's a great event. It is a great time to run right before Christmas. If you don't like running, fair enough. I don't like it either. It hurts, but it's the why that makes me do it. I want to do this for veterans. I've got too many mates that I know that have either lost the battle with mental health, that are going through mental health issues, or mates of mates, of course, as well. And even when I was in, I had to attend a funeral of one of the boys who tragically took his life. So, everyone's going to be affected by this, whether it's 1 or 2 degrees of separation. Everyone's affected. Let's try and bring these communities together, the veteran and the civilian communities. Let's just go out there and have a bit of fun. Go out there, have a run, and more importantly, celebrate after. Come together, have a couple of beers, tell a few stories, a few worries, and then, let's try and make this bigger and better next year. Of course, we'll be coming out again for 2024. I can already tell you the date, because the first Saturday of December is, actually the 1st of December is a Sunday. It will be on the 7th. 6th or 7th, if I'm correct, if I can get that. Anyway, the first Saturday of December, wherever you are in the world, first Saturday of December, every year will be the Weight of War run. So guys, thank you so much for listening. If you do want to go check out any of the websites, any of the Instagram pages, also Facebook as well, I have everything linked down wherever you're watching it. So if you're on Spotify or one of your streaming apps, it'll be in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, it'll be down in the comments. And guys, if you can contribute anything, $1, that would be amazing. If you can just share a couple of posts, if you don't have the resources to commit any donations, if you can share, that's even bigger. That'll help us spread the word both this year and next year. So whatever you do, it will be amazing. Otherwise, thank you for listening to me waffle on for about 50 minutes. If not, if you're coming down on Saturday in Brisbane, I cannot wait to see you. If you're going to be running virtually, please tag us, guys. We want to absolutely share the shit out of your stuff. So I cannot wait to see some of the runs from all over Australia. Otherwise, thanks so much for listening, guys, and I will see you on the next one.